So I'm child-free by choice, and everyone always says, like, what's your purpose? If you don't have kids, what's your purpose? My purpose is getting my nails done, going shopping, treating myself. Look at this new bag I just got from Goyard. Stunning. This new sweatsuit I got from Aloe. And being sober, traveling, I don't know, taking naps. Have you ever taken a nap? It's like the funnest thing ever. It's so nice. I enjoy naps a lot. So don't say I don't have purpose just because I don't have kids. How dare you?
In the life of a childless woman. The point is to make you feel good about being an aging, deeply unlikable woman who never had kids.
People decide to be child-free for a lot of reasons, but let me give you some specific examples straight from my comment section. While in excruciating pain from a kidney infection, my husband came to me to ask if dinner would be ready by 7. I told him if he wants to cook it. He proceeded to make only himself eggs. P.S. We have 3 children ages 6 and under. My mom was out of town and my dad claimed to not know how to put on sheets or start the dishwasher. The day after I came home from a C-section with a catheter still in from a bladder repair, I was the one making dinner while my husband was on his Xbox. I was in the hospital recovering from having cancer removed from my body. My ex-husband went and played basketball. Our neighbor talked him into visiting me at the hospital because cancer. He argued with me about when I was coming home to take care of the kids. Pregnant and bedridden with hyperemesis gravidarum here, haven't been able to eat or drink for 2 weeks, constant ER trips, and he had the nerve to tell me the dishes need to be done because he needed a fork to eat. Instead of running the dishwasher himself, he bought disposable plasticware. The men at my husband's job asked him why he's taking 2 to 3 weeks off when I give birth, since there's nothing for you to do anyways. My husband plays with my son when we're around extended family, and they all think it's weird. Says something about their husbands. I planned, shopped, decorated, and cooked all the food for our kids' graduation party. I asked my husband for help, and he decided to paint the house. 4 days after having my fallopian tubes removed, I had to be bent over the bathtub bathing our 2-year-old. I asked him each day to do it, and he wouldn't. My husband refused to get out of bed and help me when I was crying in pain in the bathtub during labor. I kept texting him, he kept reading the text and ignoring it, then going back to sleep. My mom had to force me to allow him to come see the birth. My ex-husband just leaving me to go to work because he cashed in his vacation time instead of saving it for the week after I gave birth. My ex decided that doing the kids' laundry and making the bed was too much work, so he made his half of the bed, his laundry, and did his dishes. Never the kids' laundry or dishes or mine. Yeah, he made half the bed. I was messy, but since the divorce, I think he's realized that kids are work. When I was getting induced and in labor for 26 hours, my ex had a rager in my apartment. I came home and had to clean and take care of a newborn. My ex-husband would send my sons to their grandparents if I went out of town so he could party. He never spent a night alone with either kid. My son's bio dad yelled at me in the hospital for not packing another clean shirt after yelling at me for not sharing my meds from the C-section. He also asked at one point, "Is this going to take any longer?" 36 hours of labor followed by an unplanned C-section. First baby, ex-husband had 6 weeks of paternity leave, asked him to watch our son so I could take a nap. He said, "I didn't take 6 weeks off to help you. I have stuff to do." After I got a tubal and a uterine ablation after having our last child, I was supposed to rest. He woke me up to feed the baby, even though I had taken out frozen breast milk and bottles for him to use. He just had foot surgery on crutches, asked my ex to swing by the store for groceries after work. He complained that he was tired. I went with crutches because the scooters were dead, newborn in a carrier on my chest. I get home and he reiterated how tired. My ex-husband slept through the majority of both of my labors, 39 and a half hours, 26 and a half hours. The second time the midwife told him he was only allowed to stay with me and my son overnight if he was going to actually help in the night, he went home to sleep alone instead. Now I finally see why our mothers were so angry and stressed out all the time.
Somebody on Twitter was like, "I'm not saying have children, but those of you in your mid-20s to mid-30s flexing about not having or wanting children will live a very lonely life once you hit your mid-40s. Can we stop with this bullshit? If you want kids, do it. If you don't want kids, don't do it. It literally should not matter to anybody else except for you and the partner you are going to have a kid with or not have a kid with. And also, if you're trying to have a child just so that you're not lonely in your mid-40s, okay, that is possibly one of the worst reasons to have a kid." And this dude was like, "Procreation is the only thing of value humans can do." Like, that is really telling. if you think the only value you add is having sex. There were tons of comments who were like, oh, well, I'm in my mid 40s and I'm not lonely at all. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And this person's like, oh, you're lying. Kids are not your accessories. They are not there to curb your loneliness. They are human beings and deserve to be treated as human beings. You hear about older parents who are now in retirement homes or like nursing homes, and nobody visits them, even though they have like 5 kids. Why do you think that is? I know a lot of us have been conditioned to believe that the ultimate dream is to get married, have 2 or 3 kids, live in a very suburban neighborhood. I don't know, white picket fence or whatever. But like if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Go for it. Pop out those kids or have kids or whatever. But don't force other people to live by that standard if that's not what they want. I really don't understand why so many people are so nosy about other people having or not having kids. Like, even random strangers on the internet. Like, what does it matter to you personally? Like, really? Being a parent is cool. Being child free is cool. They're just different choices, and we should just let people make the decision that is right for their life.
Tim, could I ask you real quick? What's the age bracket of men you are seeking?
For me, because I'm 40, I would have to date. It would be preferable, like, you'd have to be 40, 42 to like 48, 50.
All right, that's not that unrealistic. Only because dudes is like 40 and up. Maybe a little older. I think you would have better luck even older. But starting at 40 is, as long as you're not touching 30s at all, 20s at all. You in the 40s, you might have to go a little up in the 40s, 50s. If that's your mindset, then that's where you need to look, because those guys likely already have their own children and don't want any more. So if you stay within the right age bracket, it's possible for you to go ahead and do that. I want us to get out of the one size fits all thing, right? I think sometimes we try to make it as if there's like a one way to win. There are, of course, the probabilities versus possibilities. So we do try to dwell in that space, right? But if you don't want no kids, I bet, as long as you know you don't want kids, because the worst idea would be for you to have children and you don't want them. That would be fucked up, because now you are going to be mistreating children, right? So I never encourage people who don't want children to be children minded. It's stupid, because you're not going to take care of them the way that they deserve. I would rather people not be parents at all versus bringing children into a world that they don't want. That's the worst thing ever.
And
But
if
you realize you're aware that you limit your options by
so,
having an age bracket
I,
and
I was going
that
to
you
ask,
don't have.
if I may ask, you almost paused for a second when you said, Kim, like, you wouldn't have any more. Is that a bad thing that I'm saying that I don't want any more kids? Because I look at kids in a very deep manner. I don't look at it. So this is how I see it. One, I am bringing another human being into this world. And if y'all don't, that's huge. I think we all could agree with that. I'm bringing another human being into this world. This human being I have to foster this environment. They need the best of both of us. No one's perfect, but like Trev said, they also need people who want them, who wanted them. And I love my daughter, but I was, young, and the way life went, I realized and grew to learn that, like, kids need a lot more than a lot of people are willing to admit that they can give them.
So
So
basically, you saying that if you didn't plan to have your daughter?
I was with my high school sweetheart. I was young. I did not plan to get pregnant. I got pregnant. I opted to keep her, and it was the best decision of my life. I love her dearly. I wouldn't change it. But I also am not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you, there wasn't hardships. I wasn't necessarily a single mother. I was just a single mother on paper because I wasn't married. But, I had a lot of help. I'm not going to lie. I was not really a single mother ever. But my life has not gone in the direction of what I see, meaning a wife, a husband, family. So because it's not gone that way, I've had to coordinate my life accordingly. And I think I made healthier decisions by not.
If it would have gone that way, then
If it,
kids would be okay.
right, but it did.
So basically your want or desire to have kids is contingent upon relationship going the right way?
No, my life. I mean, I guess you could say that. Like, I passed it, is what I'm saying. I passed the age of my threshold. I said if I didn't have kids by 35, I wasn't having any more. I'm 40. That was 5 years ago. The boat sailed. It's okay. Like, the boat sailed. It's not coming back. I'm not gonna force it. And I believe in God. I don't believe he would have.
It sounds better. It sounds better when you say it. For example, if you were talking to the man that wanted to marry you,
Mm-hmm.
if I was a guy, I think any guy would probably vouch. It sounds better saying that. Well, the reason why I don't want to have any kids with you is because I'm, I'm very close to having at-risk pregnancies with my age, versus, oh, I just don't want to have kids. Period, because
Yeah, there's
somebody has
I though. It's
somebody has to take care of the kids. Like,
just one
I
though.
think.
Well,
I at-risk pregnancy. I know what it takes. I think a person is like, yes, and I'm saying where my life is. You're killing me. Where my life is, I can't have any more children because the things I want to do, I would have to pick. And if you're asking me is what I want in my life, does it supersede me having a child? Yes. And I'm being honest. Yes.
That's it. That's the moral of the story.
Y'all want to know the quickest way to piss Auntie Jam off? Ask me why haven't I had kids yet. Ask me why haven't I had kids yet, and you getting all the smoke. Now, I understand that do you have children is a common conversation piece or starter for a lot of grown-ups, but it's not for me because it's a very sensitive subject for myself. My followers already know my story, so I try not to even get into that conversation with women. And number two, it's not my business. Number three, I just don't care what a woman, her body, and her uterus is doing. That's her business, okay? So when you ask me, Jam, you got kids, and I tell you no, that should be the end of it. Let's change the subject. I don't need to hear, oh, but you almost 40. What? You don't want no kids? Or you just don't plan on having no kids? Or it just ain't in the cards for you? How about you go to hell? Go to hell, mind your business, your body, and your uterus, and get out of mine. Y'all don't understand how triggering that is. Y'all don't understand how sensitive that question is. And y'all don't understand that's one of the rudest things that you can ask a woman. So stop doing it. Okay, y'all don't understand how loaded that question is. First of all, I know it's baffling, but a lot of women don't want to be mothers, okay? And for the women that grew up and they prayed to be mothers and they dreamt of being mothers, congratulations if you got your dream. But everybody don't have that thought process. Also, a lot of women want to travel the world first. A lot of women want to get their education first. A lot of women want to be financially stable. Oh, how about this? A lot of women want a husband first before they start producing kids. Y'all don't even think about that because we live in a world to where y'all feel like if a woman is in her late 30s and she don't have any kids, something is wrong with her. She should already be barefoot and pregnant having all these babies for a man. Not only that, do y'all ever think about the woman that's depressed because every time she pees on that stick it says not pregnant and all she wants to do is bear a child? All she wants to do is give her husband a baby. All she wants to do is have a family that she's always dreamed of. Y'all don't think about that when y'all ask that question. Do y'all think about the people that cannot afford the IVF and the fertility treatments and all they want to do is have a family? Y'all don't think about that when y'all ask that question. That's why this question is so loaded. Not only that, do y'all think about the people or the women that have produced children, they have given birth, and now they have a heaven baby? Y'all don't think about that, see? Or the people that have been mothers and their kids have grown up or lived a few years in life and then they pass away. See, this is why as adults you have to use your discernment and your common sense. If a person tells you they don't have kids, leave it at that. Because you just don't know what you can be triggering. There are so many other things that can be talked about. Y'all have to stop doing this because that's one of the rudest things that you can ask someone. It's a very sensitive subject. And because we live in the world that we live in, y'all feel like y'all have the right to somebody else's life or to somebody else's business. And that's just not what it is, okay? Find something else to talk about. And I'm only going on this rant because I was triggered yesterday. And it wasn't that person's fault because she didn't know my story. But the fact that she kept digging, it pissed me off. And I almost had to cuss her out, but I had to count to 3 and walk away because I had to think about it. This lady don't know my life. But yet, as another woman, she already expected me to have all these babies because that's what she did with her life. It don't work like that. Okay?
People are saying that they don't want to have kids because they don't want their kids to grow up in poverty or riddled with trauma the way that they did, because nothing in their life has changed significantly enough for them to give their children different lives than the ones that they were given growing up. And they understand what those lives lead to because they are currently living and dealing with the consequences of that. There is nothing wrong with not wanting to have kids that you know you can't afford. No one's telling other people not to do that, but if somebody wants to make that decision for themselves, that's not eugenics. That's wanting to end the suffering and pain. Because if I were to have a child right now, they wouldn't be the only ones who suffer. I would suffer with them. But I just finished with my suffering and I finally found peace. Why would I want to re-engage with the suffering if I don't have to?
Y'all seen that lady on Twitter? She's talking about it's weird to brag about not having kids.
Some women are choosing to focus more on their career than building a family. How do you feel about that?
I think that's dope. Not everybody wants to start a family right away. I think a lot of times it's not really talked about as much, but especially being a woman, being a mom and being a wife or just a partner, period, it requires you to be very selfless. And a lot of times we have to put our own home desires, our own dreams on the back burner in order to be a good mom and a good partner. So a lot of those times when we do that and the kids are grown or you get divorced, a lot of times you will see women in their 40s and their 50s kind of bitter because they kind of put their life on pause. So I applaud more women actually stopping to think like, okay, this is a real commitment here to start a family and to be a mother or to be a partner, especially one that is a good partner anyway. I think it's dope as fuck, honestly.
Okay.
So you say a woman in their 40s and 50s become bitter because they had their kids early?
I didn't say early. I said when they decide to prematurely just make decisions based on love, right? And not actually sit down and think about what that entails. You being selfless and putting yourself last, putting your desires last, putting your dreams last. Nine times out of 10, she's going to be pouring into her husband's dream, right? Pouring into her children. That takes a lot. And I don't think that men really understand that because you guys don't really put your dreams and hopes on the back burner to stay at home and take care of the kids.
You say that having these kids, the only way to have these kids, well, you say it wasn't having early, but the only way to have a family is prematurely making decisions. I mean, I can't vouch for everybody else, but playing my kids. So I
You
don't
said
know
what?
I planned my children. It wasn't prematurely because of love, this was planned out.
Well,
I'm saying, like, isn't there other cases where, or other scenarios where, or other ways where you
I
can
mean,
plan?
I think you can always plan, like even if you plan your kids, you're not a parent. So there's only so much planning that you can do. So until you step into that actual role of being a parent, then you realize how much you actually have to sacrifice. And just from what I see, especially in our communities, it falls on the woman, and whether the kid grows up good or bad, it's always her fault, or it is always going to fall on her. So I think that nothing is wrong with a woman waiting and being like, let me live my life a little bit.
Does that mean casual sex with that and all that? Live my life a little bit?
Yep. If that's what she want to do, yep.
This makes me think of when somebody told me, hurry up and have kids so you could be miserable like me. And that stayed with me. I'm not saying that parenthood is miserable for everyone, but I have come across my fair share of regretful moms. They seem tired, they are haggard, they do not get any help from the men that they are with. They mourn the life that they had before. I love having money, getting up and doing whatever the fuck I want to do, and having serenity in my home. I understand that motherhood is a sacred journey, but motherhood is not for everyone, and people really struggle with minding their business about what you do with your body. Is that a little envy that I detect?
So I don't think I want to have kids like ever in life, okay? And the reason why is because I don't have what I feel like is a valid reason to have a child. I feel like majority of times when I talk to people or ask people why it is that they want to have kids, like the people that are very adamant, like I always wanted to have a kid since I was young, and I ask them why, it's always a very deeply selfish, narcissistic reason. For instance, if you ask a man, any man right now, why they want to have a kid, majority of the time they're going to say something about their lineage or carrying on their family name, like Johnson. You want to carry on Johnson? Okay, that's your business. I'm not even gonna say anything, but that's the name you want to carry on. Like, do you think that you're Carnegie Mellon? Like, what are you actually going to give to that kid? Some debt and emotional trauma? I think they'll be okay without it. Or I can't stand behind the people that's like, I never knew love until I had a kid. Babes, it's called therapy. Yeah. You need to talk to a person, a real person about it, not your 5-year-old kid. He don't care. He looking up at you asking, Mommy, when am I going to watch Paw Patrol? And the people that get me the most are the people that are like, I just really needed somebody that was never going to leave me. Whoa! Whoa! It's called a puppy. It's called a cat. It's called a snake. You need a pet. You didn't need a kid. You needed a pet. So that's why I don't think I ever want to have kids. I can't think of one legitimate reason that's non-selfish and narcissistic to have a kid. Why? Is because I don't have what I feel like is a valid reason to have a child.
I so deeply agree with this. It actually, child is fun. In addition to all the points that she's made, it irks people so much when you tell them you literally don't want to have kids. I have been very sure of this. I'm 24. I always go, oh, you're gonna change your mind. Da, 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 da. If I have kids, I will be shocked, and everybody around me that knows me will also be shocked as well. I don't know why, but it really strikes a nerve in people when you tell them you want your life to be yours. I want my life to be mine until the day that I die. What is wrong with that? Also, while the act of parenting is technically or supposed to be selfless, having a child is inherently selfish. And I have a longer video that I posted about this like a minute ago, so please go watch that. But like I said in that video, I think a lot more people should make the conscious decision to not be parents instead of thinking that that is the next step in life. And the people that get irritated with you when you tell them you don't want to be a parent are the people that are parents and like honestly resent their children and resent their decision. From the day you become a parent, you will always be a parent until one of y'all dies. And I don't want that responsibility. And one more note, a lot of y'all should have pets before you have kids so you can really see how much work it is, what it's like to care for something. And then a lot of y'all probably won't have kids and the world will be a lot better for it. Because I'm gonna be honest, some of y'all should not be parents. And you should know yourself well enough to know that.
I'm 53 years old and I don't have kids. This comes with every type of response you could imagine. But who's going to take care of you when you get old? That's what we're put on this earth for. You're so selfish. You don't know true joy until you have a child. What do you do with all your free time? Do you regret it now that you're older? The simple answer is no.
A huge thank you goes out to this creator for shedding light on what it's like to grow up as an older woman, aging, and not having kids. I worry about what that'll be like for me someday because, yeah, do I wonder if I'll regret it? But would I rather regret having kids than not having them? I would rather regret not having them than regret having them. But still, there's a lot of shame that I have in my heart because I wonder if this is what I'm supposed to do or if I'll be okay that I'll be enough without kids. I don't want to have kids in order to feel enough. I know that I am enough simply because I am and that my enoughness, my worth is innate, but sometimes I forget and it's hard because I grew up where my parents constantly needed me to do more and excel in life and not just give me their love simply because I exist. So yeah, that's my own work, but I'm figuring it out. And until then, no kids.
So I'm in my 30s and childless by choice, and I remember being in my 20s and I was just under this pressure of, wanting to have children, wanting to get married, even though deep down inside I knew that I wasn't ready for either, you know. And it's so funny that the closer I got to the age of 30, the closer I just knew that I'm not ready to have kids, and at the time I wasn't even ready to get married. And I'm so happy that I did not rush into such a decision, and I did not allow myself to be pressured by society, because right now I'm living my best life. Like, as a childless woman, I'm living my best life. And the one thing that I would tell anyone who's in their 20s, do not put pressure on yourself to get married or to have kids if you are not ready. You know, like, society romanticizes certain things. Like, society romanticizes actually relationships, and we don't romanticize, you know, being in love with yourself first. Like, but we don't talk about how amazing it is to just take the time out to get to know yourself the same way that you enjoy getting to know a potential partner or a potential boyfriend or potential girlfriend or whatever you whichever category that you go for. So yeah, definitely society does put pressure on women, and I can tell you right now, as someone who's, you know, 32, take your time, have fun, relax, there's no pressure, and when you're ready, when you're really ready, then go for it.